Okay.
And I get it. See, going back to again, like I said,
I'm with you, Ukraine.
I hadn't been, you know what I mean? I work a lot of hours. I work a lot of fucking hours. So I've been hearing this, that, and the third, but I hadn't had the time to sit down and really read and go over and understand what's going on. You know, you break it down and you're like, and it makes a lot more sense, right? They're not out there. They're not fucking raping and pillaging and killing civilians. It's a plan and they're trying to make something happen. I get it. So to an extent, yeah, we kind of, it's not our fight. But again, you know, I don't know. Let's see what happens.
I mean,
it's not our fight. It's not our fight.
I mean, there are videos. Some people will hear what you said and say, well, that is happening. Some people will say, yeah, civilians are getting killed. The last report that I read, I've read reports all over. Yes, the last report that I thought that was, I don't know if it was from NPR or from like global, I think it was from a global conflict tracker.org, something like that, said that there was approximately 103 civilians killed at this point. Now, that's terrible. And over, again, numbers are all over the place. Millions, from what I heard, have been displaced because of the war and have lost their homes and things like that. And of course, my heart bleeds for those people. And I think that any kind of aid and any kind of, refugees and help, any kind of ways we can help without conflict, by all means. Absolutely. But I'm very fearful that somebody out there is going to shoot quote first. Unquote, something's gonna happen where a false flag, or we're gonna freaking have some aid ship get bombed or something like that, and get dragged into this war, or we're gonna say that happened. And I just don't want that. Like I said, one thing that presidents take very seriously in regards to war, and you can look at it because they track it throughout every war, is public approval ratings and support of a war.
We talked about it on a previous show, how the president himself and the military manipulated shit because they needed to get the public on their side to enter World War II.
Absolutely, yes. So I'm just saying, people just need to be careful. Cass got something to fill in. I got a bunch of fake news here, not fake news, but a bunch of cautionary stories that I want to talk about here in a second. But Cash, our producer,
things that I saw was that Russia has already lost over 4,500 troops, which is, if you think about it, that's more than we lost the entire Afghanistan and Iraq.
Wow.
Yeah, those numbers are accurate. It's not going well for Russia.
33 or 36
sure,
like that the entire time, and they've already lost 4,500.
And that's why another reason why I say Ukraine is doing a pretty good job of fighting for themselves.
Yeah,
Let them do their
They've got
thing.
a population of 44 million. Okay.
44 million.
Russia has an approximate population of 195 million. Now, 54% of that, here's a little factoid for you. 54% of that Russian population is women. The women outnumber the men. And there's a reason for that. It's not for obvious reasons. It's because during World War II, Russia lost over 25 million soldiers. Think about that. That is more than all the other countries and all the Jewish people during the Holocaust combined.
That's a lot. That's
so
a whole
Europe lost an entire generation of men. And I heard people say, well, they're sending very young boys out there. Well, they don't have much else. They really don't have much else.
Like a lot of people say that America won the war of World War II, but I'm like, Russia.
No, Russia definitely, and that's kind of one thing that I wanted to talk about too, and I'll get on later. Just remind me a little bit about the whole World War II thing. But I wanted to caution people about some of these posts because we're seeing a lot of fake news. I hate to use the term, but fake news and kind of bullshit stories that are coming out on social media that are riling people.
It's a huge problem.
Yes. Whatever you want. Yeah, that one's fine. Look at this one. I saw this on Facebook the other day. Miss Ukraine. Anastasia Lena. So apparently, you're hearing about this, about the Klitschko brothers, about Lazinski. You're hearing this about all kinds of people, basically being on the front lines, children with guns and people getting married just to, exactly. And this right here, she had to herself come out and say, this is fake news. Yeah. These are pictures from my airsoft tournament from years ago that was on my Instagram. People are manipulating these stories to get a rise out of people. And there's a reason for it. It's not just for likes. I'm telling you that there's a machine behind this kind of propaganda. It's ridiculous. We got some other ones here. These images were from I think Saudi Arabia or Syria years ago, and they're doing hashtag Ukraine.
Exactly.
Another one for saying that it was Ukraine and it's actually a Yemen attack. You know what I mean? So
You just don't know. Like if there was an app or a website you can go to check, I would. But you said it. It's propaganda. It's supposed to pull at the heartstring, even if it's fake, and that's why the world's so divided.
Yeah. The pictures, they put a
videos.
picture of little babies crying. I saw one that I couldn't get up. That was a picture of a little girl, baby with blood all over her face. That's fake. That's from Syria, from the Iraq War, or from way back then. Dude. So yeah, you got to be careful. They put the pictures, they put the images up to get a reaction out of you, and you share, and you put your 2 cents, and it gets you all fueled up, and then you don't realize that you're committed to the problem.
If you really care, you would try to do the research.
Vet your research.
It's really
do
hard.
some Googling.
Yeah,
it's right there on your phone. Don't be lazy.
You have to assume that everything you read on Facebook is fake. Because it probably is. You have to go deeper. If you really care, you don't mind going deeper. And if you go deeper, then you probably find out that Russia's doing what America would do in the exact same position. You said if Canada or Mexico teamed up with Russia, we would do the same. We would try to invade Mexico. It's just like, and you know me, I hate hypocrites. America's one of the biggest hypocrites when it comes to things like this, okay? Don't be a hypocrite. That's everything, right? Exactly.
Yeah.
So I don't want to see America in this. I don't. Period. Yeah, help. I'm helping. I'll help Ukraine. I'm for Ukraine.
They create algorithms,
but no American troops
reach out to everybody
over there. Period. World War III's coming, man.
Yeah. Where'd you say Big Ace? Because that's important. Who's chiming in on Instagram?
Momo.
Yeah. Instagram.
They created algorithms to reach out to everybody. They know because they know what triggers the masses. Exactly. It makes perfect sense.
100%.
You see it all the time.
Yeah.
And, shout out to Momo. Shout out to Julissa. Shout out to Ro. Shout out to Tio Papo. He's on there watching us. So,
nice. Hell yeah.
On Instagram. That's right. And that's the sheep. Like, they create your opinion for you. As soon as you see the video, you read the headline, you have a feeling depending on your personality. That's by design. You aren't getting the full information. Those videos, those clips, those pictures are being chosen to be shown for you. It's an agenda behind it, whether good or bad, depending on your side. Again, I'm for Ukraine. They're the good guys to me in this war, right? One side bad guy, I'm for it. But let's keep it real. Let's be adults. Let's be smarter. Let's be woke, right? Everybody be woke. Let's be woke and read and Google and make your own opinion. Because right now,
don't feed what you're giving.
Don't for real.
It's raining. I mean, they're pissing on our faces and telling us it's raining. Don't fucking listen because it's bullshit. And I know that people say potheads are conspiracy theorists, but it's freaking true. Listen, Oliver Stone has a great documentary called, I think, Untold History of America or something like that. You guys know I'm a history buff. Anybody that knows me, I'm really into it. I read about it as much as I can because I think it's fascinating. And again, we had the Cold War. Everybody knows we've had beef with Russia. So many people don't understand why, though. You know what I mean? But don't forget that, like I said earlier, 25 million people. We had agreements with Russia after World War II to make them whole again. And instead, we decided to team up take German scientists for the technology and the industry. Bingo. And pretty much screwed them over. And they were left without a baby boom, without soldiers to come home. To make them whole again. And they experienced depression because of that. And people died and people starved to death because that, and their country was ruined.
Not lying.
And of course, anybody is going to freaking feel some kind of way after somebody reneges on you, like or something like that. Yeah. So of course they don't trust us.
I'd be ready to cut you for reneging in a game of spades.
Hey, so we're all about fairness here. It doesn't matter what country. And I try to look at global conflict from just like, an unbiased thing. Yeah. Right. So I just wanted to kind of school y'all. I'm all about the history and the knowledge. A couple of little facts that I got that kind of hold on. I'll get to it. It's all good. A couple little facts that I have that kind of go over the what is the conceptions. I don't want to say misconceptions, but people's opinions of how Russia operates.
Okay.
Or how people feel about Russia in general, right?
Sure. Okay.
So one of the top things that we always hear about Russia murdering its enemies, right? You spoke about this yourself, right? It has a long list of several of Putin's early critics, right? Liberal politician Boris Nemtsov, right? Investigative journalist Anna Politkovskaya, Politkovskaya. I'm ruining that. And that exiled former Russian spy Alexander Litvenko, right? And that was the guy who was poisoned by uranium in London, right? Remember we heard about that kind of
too
thing.
far ago, yeah.
All those things being said that it was approved by Putin. You know what I mean? Well, people being murdered by the Russian state
Government.
on orders of Putin, right? Well, CIA kill list is something that, have you guys ever heard of CIA kill lists?
Sure, I've seen the movie.
These are things that are established by the CIA since 2009, bro. After 9/11, basically, they established what's known as the CTT. I think it was Center for Terrorism Control or something like that. Okay. And it was like a covert thing that these were just released by the CIA a few years ago. But so essentially since 2009, drone strikes mainly have been conducted with little oversight. Originally approved by like Obama. And then in 2010, the average drone strike in Pakistan was operating like daily out there. Wow. One freaking happened to kill people. Right, kill some civilians. So civilians, just like these guys, were killed. Right, and a few months later, the CIA General Counsel John Rizzo basically said, "Oops, my bad. I'll take over. I'll take over oversight of this." So basically, admitted that for a year, nobody was over having any
blowing
oversight.
Shit up for the sake of blowing shit up.
Basically, and even after that, we're talking about one person, the head of one organization that is deciding terrorists who should be killed. And if they're terrorists, sure, they're terrorists, they should be killed. But still, no courts, no hearings, no arrests, no investigations. Basically, this is the intel. Yeah, he's been given intel based on the CIA. And the CIA, the intel might be good, but this is one person making unilateral decisions to murder people on foreign soil. And how is that any different than what Russia's done?
Zero different. And I'm reminded of a story where recently a drone strike killed the wrong person, period, and a bunch of kids too, because it's misidentification. Google it. It was there about a year ago. A school teacher was killed by a drone strike because of misidentity. And it was a story for one day. It was a story for one day. So again, we pick and choose. The media picks and choose. You know, what have you done for me lately? Style. We you know, the society's like this. We care so little, so fast. Like it's sad, truly.
What about the elections? Right? We talk elections. U.S. interfering in foreign elections. We talk all the time about Russia, right? For the last 10 years, all we can talk about is Russia interfering in our elections.
Damn you, Russia.
How dare they? Yeah. I mean, look at this.
16 cases
in which Washington sought to influence foreign elections by covertly funding, advising, and spreading propaganda for its preferred candidates.
Damn.
Often doing so beyond single election cycle. And look at this. And of the 75%, so they had a 75% success rate for manipulating elections. I mean, are you kidding me right now?
I don't know the facts, but I know that Central and South America is not as high on the list as it should be because of our manipulation of their regimes. So Google it. And the Middle East. Truthfully.
Look at this one. According to CIA documents that were recently revealed, right? Look at these numbers right here. The 72 regime change ops by the U.S. between 1949 and 2000. Most of them against democratic states.
Against the Western allies, quote unquote. You know what I mean? True democratic
funding,
states.
Propaganda.
Come on.
And this only after they learned. And this was only after they learned that like actual covert black ops and actively fighting in these regimes wasn't really helping. They had less of a success rate. So there was data on this.
The one thing about America is that after a certain time period, all this information comes out. And this is fact. America does this did this, probably still doing it all the time. We manipulate our interests. We are interested in what's happening, so we are going to affect our interests.
Iran, Guatemala, Dominican Republic, Vietnam, the Congo, Venezuela. I mean, we have done this many times.
If you want to understand how all of this works, because like sometimes people are like, oh, how would that even work? Like, how would you?
How is that even possible? Yeah.
So there's a book called Confessions of an Economic Hitman. If you read that book, you'll understand everything about how this works, about how they send them in there and they will befriend the people and then basically try to ask the people who are in charge, like, hey, Can we fucking come in here and we're gonna install roads and electricity and water and we're gonna get everything for you guys? But the trick is that you have to use American companies in order to fucking do it. And then they'll be like, no, we're gonna do it ourselves, and we're gonna keep our oil for our people, or whatever the fucking thing is, or whatever resource it is.
What's the name of that book?
Confessions of an Economic Hitman.
Confessions of an Economic Hitman.
So after they become friends of them, if they don't want to do that, then they'll go ahead and they'll find somebody who is against them politically, and then they'll give them weapons and make them go out and do fucking a coup, basically. And then once they do the coup, they'll install some right-wing puppet who will give them. So
they basically maps out exactly how it works. All right, cool. So you get it. You get the whole the premise of the thing. How about imprisoning dissenters? We talk about that, right? Oh, you can't say nothing. I heard somebody say it earlier. We were all chatting about this. You can't say nothing about Russia. They'll put you in the gulag. You'll find your ass in Siberia.
I saw a video today of a granny being arrested in Russia.
Right.
Throwing her in the gulag for protesting.
Look at that. So, so look, according to a list from the Russian human rights group Memorial, there was 102 people held in Russian prisons for their political beliefs as of 2016. Okay, and so so I want to talk about the prison populations in general as compared to the United States, but let me read some of these facts while you read those. We know that the United States pretty much involves in modern day slavery, our prison industrial complex, right? As you can see right here, according to FSIN, I think it's the Federal Penitentiary Service, that's Russia's 0.7%, or excuse me, 0.4% of their population is in prison. And hold off on the next one until I read these out. But as far as Americans, listen to this. You heard about some of the Russian famous prisoners. Mikhail Khodorkovsky. I'm totally ruining that. The feminist, remember the feminist, the Pussy Riot chick? Yeah. Ukrainian pilot Nadia Savensko, Ukrainian filmmaker Olev Setsov, all these people for being critical of the government, right? Okay. Have you guys ever heard of Sylvia Gonzalez? Yeah. All right. This is a San Antonio woman who's jailed after running against the city manager in her town. And criticizing him on social media.
Sent to jail?
Sent to jail.
Oh, boy. Okay.
2018, Robert Fries arrested in New Hampshire for writing a comment on a local news website against this basically accusing the police chief of being corrupt.
Boy. Yeah.
According,
if you went to Facebook jail, you would go to real jail in New Hampshire. Yeah.
Yeah. CPJ, the Center for Protecting Journalists. Okay, this is a an organization that reports on free press. Okay, according to CPJ.org, in 2020 alone, over 270 journalists were jailed around the world for COVID-related reports. Okay, the top arresting governments were China, Turkey, Egypt, and Saudi Arabia, all of which we do commerce with. Yeah. All of which we owe money to. Well, not necessarily owe money to, but outside of Egypt, we do a lot of business with. We owe our asses to China, and everybody knows
not Russia necessarily. Imprisoning. I get what you're saying. Yeah.
In the United States, over 110 journalists were arrested or charged in 2020.
Really?
And over 300 reported being assaulted by majority police.
For journalism, right? For telling a story, for writing.
You see it every day. You go on Facebook and whatever, you see these, the guys with the cameras, First Amendment auditors, whatever you want to call them.
Now you could say, I know, and now one could argue, right? Well, this is Putin doing this, and these are isolated cases in different parts of the city. But I mean, does that change any different?
Yeah, just because
does it make our country much better? You still can't say shit, and it's even worse now because you got people who ain't even on that level making those choices.
You say you can't throw rocks in a glass house, bro. Like you can't be critical of another country when you're being a hypocrite about your own actions. So you can feel bad. Yeah. I think it is fair to feel bad for the people of Ukraine, people sheltering with their cats in bomb shelters, okay? But pick another war where that didn't happen. I mean, right?
And don't freaking tell me that the United States hasn't done the same or worse.
Or
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that Russia's right and the United States is wrong.
I'm not.
All I'm saying is that we need to freaking look ourselves in the mirror before we start shaking our fingers at somebody else. Pull up that next slide real quick. We jail 0.7%, almost a full percent.
Yep.
For every 100,000 people in this country, we jail 698.
We almost doubled their numbers of people in jail. So,
but people say I'd rather live in America any day. I'd rather live in America any day.
Yeah.
I mean, I still say that. I still say that personally. All I'm saying is the media paints a different picture. The media paints a picture saying, oh my God,
just be careful. Man.
You can't do nothing in Russia without being thrown in jail. They got their people on lock over there. And again, it's not the way people are painting it. Cash, what's up, bro?
I thought you were gonna have the statistic that comes up that says we have 5% of the world's population, but we hold 25% of the world's jail.
That's a great point.
Criminals,
humans,
whatever.
Prisoners.
Yeah.
Quarter.
It's ridiculous, bro. It's. I mean, if you look at the poverty rates, and I don't have a slide for that, but the poverty rate in Russia is 12.9%, where ours is 13.4%. So our poverty rate's higher, and we have a much bigger population.
Yeah,
much bigger population.
There.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, perfect.
So I mean, granted, we on average make a lot more money when things wash out. Your average citizen here than they do in Russia.
Inflation 7.5% today. You told me.
Inflation has hit an all-time high, and if you think about it, the government out there controls the way people charge, the way things are. There's an oligarchy, and there are rich fat cats. Russia has per capita the highest amount of billionaires in the world. So there's corruption out there, and I'm not trying to say there isn't, but at least there's one guy saying, you know what, the price of freaking milk and the price of gas and the price of this can't change every damn day. Yeah, whereas capitalism does claim many freaking people. The little guy freaking starves out here. You know, we got a lot of people starving out here. So like I said, before we go trying to fix the rest of the world's problems,
let's fix ours.
Before we start a nuclear war, please. And do some research about what the hell you're reading. Don't be fooled. Yeah, it's not about the government. I'm not saying that I'm not anti-US government. I love this country, but all I'm saying is that don't be a freaking hypocrite and don't believe in what the media is trying to feed you. Hey guys, it's Frank the Tank here. And if you like what you saw in today's episode, make sure to hit that subscribe button below. And for all new fresh content, go ahead and click right on over there. Watch out, Big Ace. And if you want to watch some of our more classic episodes, go ahead and click right on that way. Every week Wednesday in the Cypher with the Podheads.